Don't forget to like, subscribe and share the videos.
The question that we are going to discuss now is, consider the following statements regarding mercury pollution, which was asked in 2023 prelims examination. And then the statements here are: gold mining activity is a source of mercury pollution in the world. Coal-based thermal power plants can cause mercury pollution. There is no safe level of exposure to mercury. So these are the statements that has been asked. So we need to understand the details of what mercury is, what are the different sources of mercury, and then are there any known safe level of exposure to mercury. So if we know these details, then answering this question would be easy. Okay, so whenever you study about a particular chemical or a pollutant, you must have to understand the source of those pollutants and its permissible level, the exposure level that is there, which has been suggested by any standard body. Okay, so yes, now let us understand that it is also taken from one of the current affairs, that is an article which was there in Down to Earth, which talked about mercury pollution, that is parties to Minamata Convention discussed non-binding declaration, but can it help? This was an article from Down to Earth. Okay, so here it is very clear that Minamata Convention is related to mercury pollution. Okay, so we are learning yet another new concept here, or new information, that is Minamata Convention is related to mercury pollution. And this current affairs was there. This was published on 22nd March 2022, and this Minamata Convention on Mercury is the most recent global agreement on environment and health, and it was adopted in the year 2013 and entered into force in the year 2007. So all these details, factual informations are very important from exam point of view. Now let us understand the details of the question, what mercury is. Yes, what is mercury? It is a naturally occurring element that is found in air, water and soil. It is found in air, water and soil. And then exposure to mercury, even small amounts, may cause serious health problems. Thus, because of this factor, there is no safe level of exposure. So we have answered one of the statements, that there are no safe levels. Yes, that is a correct statement. Yes, and then it has toxic effects on nervous, digestive and immune system. Mercury has toxic effects on nervous, digestive and immune systems, and on lungs, kidneys and skin and eyes. Okay, these are all the parts of the body which is getting affected because of mercury exposure. Moreover, this mercury is considered by World Health Organization as one of the top 10 chemicals or group of chemicals of major public health concern. So this is also a factor which is to be considered. And then what are all the different sources of mercury that we have? One is natural source, and there are also anthropogenic sources. So the question that was there is related to the anthropogenic sources that are there. Okay, so coming to natural sources, we have volcanic eruptions and emissions from ocean. Okay, these are the natural sources of mercury. But what are all the anthropogenic sources that we have? That is artisanal and small scale gold mining. That gold mining activity is the largest source of anthropogenic mercury emission, which contributes to 37.7%. Moreover, stationary combustion of coal also emits 21% of the anthropogenic emissions that are there, emission of mercury. And then there are other large sources of emissions like non-ferrous metal production, which contributes to 15%, and cement production, which contributes to 11% of mercury emission by anthropogenic sources. Okay, so here we need to note that mercury is highly toxic element, that we know, but there is no safe level of exposure. That is just because of its high toxicity. Even taking smallest amount or ingesting smallest amount of mercury will put you to death. Okay, so there is no safe level of exposure, and to date there are no universal diagnostic criteria for mercury over. Third statement is correct. And in the news article we discussed about Minamata Convention. So what is this Minamata Convention? Why is it called Minamata Convention? Okay, and there is also a disease called as Minamata disease, which is related to mercury pollution. Okay, so what is this Minamata disease? People are mainly exposed to methyl mercury when they eat fish and shellfish. So when people eat fish and shellfish, they get exposed to methyl mercury and they are more vulnerable to Minamata disease. So what is Minamata disease here? It is a disorder which is caused by methyl mercury poisoning. Very important to be noted. It can be asked as a question in the upcoming exams. So first it was described in the inhabitants of Minamata Bay. That is the reason why it is called as Minamata disease, and based on that only Minamata Convention has got evolved. And this disease is characterized by peripheral sensory loss, tremors, and both hearing and visual loss is also there because of Minamata disease. And you need to note here that there is methyl mercury and ethyl mercury. Here methyl mercury is a toxic substance, whereas ethyl mercury is used as a preservative. Okay, so methyl mercury is very different from ethyl mercury. Here ethyl mercury is used as a preservative in some vaccines and it does not pose health risks. Okay, this point is also important. There may be any confusing statements like Minamata disease is caused by ethyl mercury poisoning. No, it is methyl mercury poisoning. So you must have to be very specific. Okay, generally Minamata means we link it to mercury, but we must also be very specific with respect to whether it is methyl mercury or ethyl mercury. So the poison here or the toxin here is methyl mercury, which is to be remembered. So coming to the question, that is, consider the following statements. Gold mining activity is a source of mercury pollution in the world. Yes, we saw that artisanal and small scale gold mining contributes to 37% of the anthropogenic sources. And then coal based thermal power plants cause mercury pollution. Yes, 21% of mercury pollution by anthropogenic sources is because of coal-based thermal power plants, and we also saw that there is no safe level of exposure to mercury. Thus, the answer for this question would be all three. Yes, all three statements are correct here. Okay, so this is what we need to know from this particular question.